So Upwork, together with its subs, operates a work marketplace that connects businesses with various independent professionals, agencies in the US, India, Philippines, and internationally. So it's like eBay, where businesses would say, "Hey, you know what? I need a I have this really bad database. It needs to be cleansed. We need to kind of clean out old names that haven't been used in a long time. So I want to hire a DBA and maybe a couple more analysts to clean up this database." And you'd go to Upwork and you'd hire these people. I'm not going to hire them permanently because it's only like a 2-month project or maybe 5 months, and then you hire them. All right, perfect. I like the idea. I think it has a purpose in the marketplace. So this stock looks interesting. It was really selling off, and then the market decided, hey, wait, what? We're going to go up like 70%. Wow, what a rise. Now, when we were in the COVID days, nobody wanted to go in the office and the gig economy was flourishing. Boy, this stock was flourishing, huh? And then it sold off. Boom. So when we were looking at Zoetis, I was like, so this is a typical chart that I see coming out of COVID, right? We had this COVID buildup, stocks sold off, and then the stocks that came back, they kind of went this way. This one hasn't come back. All right. But they've continued to grow. So as they get bigger, growth has slowed down a bit. Okay. But they keep getting bigger. Looks like the gross profit is going to be good. Gross profit of 76%. That's very good. They're a free cash flow company. That is very good. And you see how their free cash flow is expanding. Their scale, the size of the company has gotten to a point where they're now really generating free cash flow. Very nice. So that's 137 million of free cash flow. Their growth rate is revenue growth rate 14%, and the most recent quarter at 10%, 14, 18. Okay. And working in this industry, I could say that like Q1's being a little bit better than other quarters makes sense because that's when businesses have fresh budgets. Hey, I ran out of budget in July, so I can't hire anybody. But once January comes around and I have budget, I can hire an independent contractor. That makes sense to me. All right, so these guys are growing. Not a super growth company, but they're growing. 2.26 billion, really small market cap. I like the market cap. All right, and then shares outstanding, 133 million shares outstanding. So these guys, they're very unique. They don't remind me of any specific company. They're in technology. So let me compare them to DocuSign. Not a perfect compare because Upwork is so unique, right? Which is good. Is Upwork in Argentina, Tomas? Do they operate there?
Oh, yes, cool. They operate there. I was thinking more like they are similar to what Airbnb or even Uber does. They are intermediaries between job people who's looking for a job and a job opportunity.
I agree with you. I think you're right. I think they're more like Airbnb and Uber because they're not hiring people and then doing services for you. They're like, no, we're going to pair you with somebody who can do the work for you, and then we're going to make money in some form, either by getting a part of the fees that are being paid somehow. But I agree with you because like Uber, hey, we don't buy cars, we don't hire people to drive the cars. We just make money on each ride that is hailed on our platform. Got it. I agree with you. Okay, so Upwork. All right, so this is a little bit of a smaller company. Might even go to 9. And the trailing 12 months, this one's a little trickier because they just started a cash flow. And their growth was like 10 to 15%. So I'm going to go with 10% for now. And this one, my valuation may not work for the time being, but let's take a look. See where we get. Because I think this particular industry like I work in software and I get involved with a lot of professional services projects. And I think what Upwork's doing makes a lot of sense and will just continue to grow because you think about businesses around the world, but since I'm in the US, I'll use a US example. They're trying to get people that can do the work. It doesn't matter if the person lives, very close to me or is on the other side of the world. If they do the work, that's what's most important. And of course, cost. If the person on the other side of the world can do it for 10% of what the person across the street can do it, well, I got to consider that, especially if the work's going to be done at the same level of quality. So once you open that opportunity up to businesses, they're going to take advantage of it. It's like, hey, I could hire a US resource, or I can hire a resource in Mexico for a third, and the work's going to be done at the same level of quality. Hey, let's take a look at that resource that's in Mexico or Argentina, India, China, you name it, where there's Philippines, where there's these talent pools of people that want to work and they use Upwork. All right, Tomas, go for it.
So also in Upwork, you can rate the person you hired. So there is like that's why I thought about Uber,
Mm-hmm. Oh, so you could say, hey, Tomas built this website for me. It was awesome. 5 stars. And then you have 500 reviews. And next time somebody goes to your profile, they're like, man, this Tomas is loved by 500 people, 500 customers.
Yeah, exactly.
Perfect. Okay. All right. So let's see where their balance sheet's at. So and I could just go to statistics and look at their balance sheet. 601 million, 369 debt. Very good job. Very good debt, or very good balance sheet. So 601 and 369. Their market cap was 2.2 shares outstanding. 3. So these guys are discounted based on the free cash flow. I'm growing the cash flows by 10%. This company could really grow much faster, those cash flows, because let's look at Uber. I like that I think I should say improved a comparable company. The reason I want to look at this is that we're going to look at their cash flow, and I'll show you how they were negative cash flow and then they came to positive cash flow and how that's really gone up. So back in 2017, negative. And then they finally said, oh, hey, we've gotten to the right scale. Now we're going to move to cash flow. See how it went from like 390, 3.3 billion, 6 billion. It's like, holy smokes. You guys are like making a lot of money. That's good job, Uber. And Upwork is in a similar industry where it's like they go from negative to positive, and then that positive grows really fast. Now, I don't want to be overly optimistic. So 10%, I could totally see them doing 10%. And that's conservative. If they did 20%, this thing would be worth so much more money, right? But let's go with 10. And then long-term growth, 4%. They might even grow faster than that because this is the beginning of something big, okay? This whole finding talent from around the world continues to get smaller and smaller, more connected. We get to see, like, on this call alone, there's 3 people. We got somebody in Israel, Argentina, US, and we're on video, and we're sharing work, and we're doing analysis. This is proving the Upwork model, what we're doing. So I'm really liking their business. All right, so let's take a look at the earnings per share. And there's a reason why I look at earnings per share. Some people, like Scott's due diligence, he'll be, with me later today. He only uses free cash flows. But what I would say is that earnings per share tells me probably kind of like, is this company really has momentum? Are they really growing their revenues? Are they growing earnings per share? Because that momentum means something to the market. And I'd like to measure that and put it into my valuation. So that's why I use earnings per share, but it's only 1/3 of my valuation. Okay, so 24 was a good year. They grew revenues by 12%. They are solidly profitable and will continue to be profitable and grow their earnings per share by 19%, 13, and 11. And their revenue is not going to grow as much in 2025, 2026. And here's one thing that I'll just point out right? So in the U.S., the person who won the presidency is Donald Trump, and one of the main messages he had out there is, "I'm not going to allow illegal immigration," and he is going to push back. He's going to be like, "America first, America first, America first." Well, if you use Upwork, you can have somebody gig for you outside the U.S. and you broke no rule, you broke no nothing, and you get to deduct all the money just legitimately, as if you hired the same person and they work, down the street. So this is actually going to help. I would say that if there's a contraction in immigrants that are allowed to come to the U.S. and work hard and provide value, that force of keeping people outside the U.S. is going to help Upwork, in my opinion. So I like that. I think they're going to grow better than that. All right, so I got my bearings straight there. We're going to go with $1.22 of earnings per share. I like their growth. I might even go 24 on their particular valuation. And I'm going 24 because I like their growth, and I think I really believe in their industry. So this is a really good stock. Good job, Tomas. I like everything I'm seeing. And this one most definitely is going to be a watch stock for me. I'm going to sleep on it. I'm going to analyze it. I might buy this